Perhaps the single most unique thing about Cairns & Brothers 5As was if you were lucky, if you were fortunate enough, you happened to be in the New York City Fire Department or in the general area around Clifton, we used to conform heads, which meant we would conform a device to your head, take a picture of the circumference of your head and all of its imperfections, and we would reproduce that in the leather helmet in a customized fit. And it worked this way. This is a hat maker's machine, or what we call a conform machine. And basically what it does is you place this on an individual's head, and if you look inside, you can see that all of these hardwood little fingers, each one corresponds to a pin on the top, which I'll show you in a second. But as the head goes in, it pushes out on a spring. The spring holds the fingers in, but the head pushes them out. When you look on the top, there are a series of pins, one that corresponds with each one of these little black legs. And as the head goes in, of course, the pin will move in a corresponding fashion, and it would take an oval, and everyone's heads are shaped differently. Generally, the back of the head is a little wider than the temple, but it would pick up all of the little variations in the head. And once you had it properly situated on the firefighter's head, you would then insert what we called our conform ticket, which had a serial number on it so we could match it up with the product later. And then place it on top of the firefighter's head. The fingers would open up, and when we had it done properly, and we were even on both sides, even on front and back, we would drop this down, close it, and take a picture, so to speak, let go, and flip it up. When you were done, you'd end up with the conform, which would be cut out, and you'd end up with that little piece of paper. That piece of paper represented that specific firefighter's head shape. That would be then placed in a device similar to this called a vermilion, and you drop that in, and then you would bring in the little spikes all the way around until it corresponded to the edge, tighten them down, and then that block was the actual accurate dimension of the firefighter's head. That would then be placed into the helmet. You'd heat the helmet up with a torch, and you would shape the helmet and make it take the conform's curves and shapes. Then you would take it out, the helmet would cool, and then that helmet was fitted and ready to be used by a firefighter. The conform ticket would then be placed inside the helmet, glued in place with its corresponding number, and that way, in the event that we needed to duplicate that helmet, all we needed to know was the ticket number, the approximate date when the helmet was delivered, and we could go locate the conform original and duplicate a helmet in the shop. In the old days, they used to argue that a properly sized conform helmet negated the need for a chin strap because the conform fit so well, you could hang upside down and the helmet wouldn't come off. And sure enough, they used to take probationary firefighters, and they would put them on what I don't even know if they're used anymore. They're called scaling ladders, and they'd have to hang upside down from the scaling ladder. And if the helmet fell off, the helmet had to go back to us, and we'd have to check the conform to make sure it fit. So this is my personal helmet. It's an original 5A. It's got what was called the Cairns cushion lining in it, and when you put it on and you fit it, you could hang upside down and the helmet wouldn't come off because it was a personalized fit right to your head. And we did literally all of the New York City probationary firefighters and any firefighters that had to come back in for replacements with the conform machine. The limitations, of course, were we didn't go out into the field with a conform machine. You had to come to us because it would have been daunting for us to travel all across the country in customizing these helmets. One of the ways we kept track is, say that my helmet were to be damaged or lost in a fire, that would present a real big problem because the data that you need to reproduce it is inside. Inside the helmet, the conform ticket would be glued, and it had a number on it and an identification number, and we would keep the conform slips in a record box, and we would be able to look it up. If we knew the approximate age, we'd go into that that generation of helmets, pull the ticket out, and we'd have your original conform backup so we could reproduce your conform. Basically, though, what the people in the factory back then told most firefighters is if you got a conform, you're probably in the New York metropolitan area, come on into the shop and we'll do a new conform, make sure it's spot on.